If I could give you one piece of advice in this lifetime, it would be this. Please, my beautiful friend, do not let your trauma define you. Everyone in their lifetime will experience trauma, some unfortunately more than others, but you would be very hard-pressed to find anyone on earth who has never experienced even once some sort of trauma. And if you did find somebody like that, they would probably have to be extremely young. Give it time. Unfortunately, in life, trauma, pain, and suffering plays a massive role in our lifetimes. Pain and suffering has a purpose, though. It makes us who we are. It makes us more resilient. It makes us stronger, wiser, and no matter how deeply it hurts or how painful it will be, it makes you the person later in life you were intended to be. Trust and believe when it came to trauma in this lifetime, I've had my fair share. Now, I don't need to go into the long list of traumas that Auntie's experienced, but just trust and believe. And if you know my story, there has been a lot. And in all accounts, a lot of people always ask me, you've been through so much, but every time I see you, you're still smiling. I am, even though every single day I will live the rest of my life in daily pain. Now, I know I said I'm not going to list my traumas, but just to kind of give you a little bit of frame of reference, I'm going to kind of give you a short rundown of some of the more massive trauma that I've experienced in my life. I have been the victim of the R word twice. I survived 2 volatile, horrific domestic violence relationships. And I'm sure if you've been following me long enough by now, you know that due to a doctor's mistakes, due to his errors and a covered up failed fusion in my neck, I suffered an internal decapitation. And even just before that, I lived in 2 months of excruciating, ungodly pain that no man, no woman should ever have to endure. As the bone around my 6 razor sharp surgical screws was completely gone, there was no bone left. And intermittently, anywhere from 5 to 15 times an hour, those screws would float and hit raw and open nerves in my neck. Y'all, when I tell you it was unbearable, I could barely even explain it to you. It felt like Freddy Krueger had a hold of my spine and was pulling it to the ceiling, like my neck was in a bear vice, jagged. It was electric. It was unbearable. And it just got worse and worse with every day. It would happen 24/7, and I never knew when the next one would hit or how long it would last. One would last 3 seconds of me saying, ow, 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 where others would last for hours of me just screaming, blood-curdling screams, unable to get rid of the pain. I lived, like I said, for 2 months like that. It would wake me in my sleep. It was unbearable. A month into it, I just couldn't take it anymore, and I almost unalived myself. Anyways, I survived it. I had an internal decapitation, thank God, on the operating table, but I now live with a 7-level posterior and anterior fusion in my C3, 4, 5, 6, 7, T1, and T2, with a cage in my 5, 6, 7 where all of that bone was gone. 2 years later, I was diagnosed with a severe, rare, and aggressive sarcoma in my neck that devours muscle and tissue and even bone on contact. When the doctors got in there to remove it, they had to remove my entire left trap, 2 inches of nerve, and a lot of my upper back muscle. I lost a very large majority use of my left arm. And after having the biopsy done on the sarcoma, they discovered it's what's called a trauma-induced sarcoma, meaning the doctor who did this to my neck and covered it up, causing me to have so many different surgeries, the sarcoma was brought on by those. And had I never had that botched surgery, I never would have to face and deal with cancer for the rest of my life. So yeah, I've had my fair share of trauma. But I need you to understand something. My beautiful friends, the reason whenever you meet me or you see me just here on the phone, I'm smiling because I'm alive. I have so much to smile about. I have a whole life ahead of me. And granted, about 80% of the things I used to love to do, all of the activities, scuba diving, horses, we had to get rid of my horses, 4-wheeling, hunting, being out in the hills, I've lost that. I don't get to do that anymore. It's all gone. In fact, the majority of the things that made me me, that I loved, that brought me joy, are gone. But I'm not. God saved me for a purpose, and I also inevitably struggled and suffered through these traumas for a purpose as well. You see, God knows me, and He knows that I love to help people. And I had the most beautiful revelation a few months ago when I was asking God, Lord, why have I been through so much? And it landed on my heart. I was R-worded. I've survived domestic violence. I've had my head detached from my body. I've had cancer. The list really does go on and on. But I heard, you struggle for your salvation and for the salvation of others. And that's when it hit me. How can I really, truly, truly help others? As many as I possibly can, if I don't understand what they're going through. And trust and believe, you could come at me with any issue you're going through, and I could probably guarantee you I've experienced it myself. What better way to be able to help others, truly help others, than to be somebody who has experienced the same pain that they're enduring at that time? When I got it, I understood. And I'm not going to lie, but it actually made things a little bit easier for me to cope with. Kind of like taking one for the team. I don't know. But guys, this is my advice to you. I think it is the most important advice one can give to another in this life. We've all experienced our own traumas. They vary, they differ, but in the end, we felt the same type or level of pain through a trauma of our own. Now, I could live the rest of my life bitter and angry, resentful and hateful. There could be never a smile on this face again, and people would understand why. Like I said, I will live in constant and daily pain for the rest of my life, and the majority of the things that gave me joy, I can no longer do. But why would I do that? Why would I give that doctor who did this to me that satisfaction? He stole enough of my joy. I will not give him another second of it. That joy is mine, mine to keep and mine to have, and he cannot take that from me. So this is my advice to you. Please, I understand trauma is difficult. It is hard, especially when it is fresh. For years, all I could think about was what I had endured because of my neck. But then I realized I've got to stop. It's not doing anybody any good. In fact, it's just killing me more and more every single day. This is my advice to you. Do not let your trauma define you. Do not let your new definition be that of a victim. Because that, my friend, you are not. That trauma, if it's ever going to define you, I want to hear and know and understand that it will only define you one way. As a survivor, never a victim. Please, please, you need to learn to forgive. Even if the person's not sorry, you need to learn to forgive. Please do not dwell and live in the past because it is only robbing you of your future and present joy. It will never change what happened to you. It will never get that moment back. You'll never be able to change the result, the outcome, or the trauma itself. But ultimately, by resenting somebody, being bitter or hateful and not forgiving, you are truly and only affecting and hurting yourself. So promise me, please promise me, from this day forward, you will forgive these people. You'll forgive them, and not only forgive them, but you'll pray for them. And most importantly, baby girl, baby boy, promise me this. You will not let your trauma define you. You are so much more than what that person did to you. I don't want to know that 50 or 60 years after you're born, you're holding on to resentment that was decades before. I don't want to know that you have robbed yourself of years of joy, resenting and hating somebody who has probably not given you a second thought in years and years. Because my beautiful friend, you deserve the joy of today and tomorrow. That person, that trauma, it's in the past for a reason. Leave them there because you have the most beautiful life still ahead of you and so many more reasons ahead for you to smile. But if you are so wrapped up in the past and in the trauma and in the resentment and the hate to whoever it is that hurt you, you will find it becomes more and more difficult to find reasons to smile. Promise me, you will not let your trauma define you. And if you do, that definition should only be survivor and never victim at all. I love you so much.